The hackers of tomorrow are going to attack, and the victims are going to be us. And the victims are going to be in us because by 2020, we're going to have devices embedded in our bodies to help us co-process virtual worlds like Second Life and World of Warcraft that we see today. And we're going to have those devices in our body. We're going to live virtual lives. And we're going to have trouble in the future differentiating between the world that our biological body tells us we sense and the world that our digital enhancements tell us as enhanced humans what we sense. And so tomorrow, these cybercrime attacks that we've been talking about with these Swedish hackers are going to be much worse by 2015 and 2020. They're going to be all out attacks, and they're going to be directly at people rather than institutions. And when that happens, we're headed for a very dicey time. It's going to be like the old American Wild West with the cowboy shootouts, but it's all going to be in cyberspace, and it's all going to be with devices. And we're going to be device-based, and we're going to be exploited with all these new technologies that we use for good, but they're going to be used for evil against us. So we have an interesting time ahead of us. These devices will be so thoroughly embedded in our bodies, for those that choose to have them in the future, that it'll be a real challenge for people to try to figure out what reality really is. Are they being deceived because of all of the enhanced electronic sensors? So think about this. In the future, if you have a child and you send a child to school, if you consent to have a coprocessor embedded in that child so they can access what we call the internet and download terabytes of data, so to speak, and coprocess that with this massive parallel processor we have that's called a brain, that kid's going to be really smart and they can process a lot of data, but they're also hackable. And how do you make the moral choice? We know what humans are going to do. Humans are going to say, let's go for it. We want the enhanced capabilities, but they're not going to think about the downsides of it, and that's the problem. And it's going to be a very difficult choice to be able to tell your kid, no, I don't want you to have that enhanced capability because I'm worried about your safety, but at the same time, they will not be able to progress with their contemporaries that do have these enhancements. We're going to have some really interesting ethical and moral choices to grapple with in the future. And it all started with cybercrime as the model and the confluence of novel technologies as they're created and enhanced. We have to be able to communicate with them. So when NASA puts the spacecraft of the future in 2020 or 2030 out there, we've got to communicate with it. Well, that spacecraft is going to be built out of nanotechnology. It's going to have robotics in it. It may have biotechnology solutions in it. Who knows what's going to happen? All of these things are going to have communicative properties that can be communicated with from afar, which means they're hackable. And there will be exploitations. So for the cyber cop of the future, for me, there is endless work until the day I die. That's where this is all going.